What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I feel like absolute shit, but I don't feel as shitty as this couple that uploaded Nintendo ROMs to their websites and now owes Nintendo over $12 million. I kid you not. Let's do this.
Skip it up and that up.
So if you remember back in August, Nintendo went on a ROM sharing site rampage where they went after MU Paradise, LoveRoms.com, and LoveRetro.co. Now, I know MU Paradise very well. I've gone there for years to download ROMs to try out emulators. I remember going there in the early 2000s and going to get ROMs there. But Nintendo went on a rampage, like I said, in August, and it's interesting. I thought MU Paradise was taken down, but as I was making this video, I went to check. They're still up and live and kicking, and you could download ROMs. Now, no Nintendo first-party stuff. Like, if you go look at their Super Nintendo collection, I didn't see Super Mario World or Metroid or anything like that. But ROMs from third-party games for the Super Nintendo, at least that's the one I checked, you could still download them as of this video, so I guess they must have worked something out. Well, the Arizona couple, Jacob and Christian Matthias, weren't as lucky as MU Paradise. They were ordered by Nintendo to pay over $12 million, $12.3 million to be exact, for the damages their websites LoveRetro.co and LoveRoms.com caused to the company. So Jacob and Christian Matthias, this Arizona couple, admitted to trademark and copyright infringement up until July of this year, where they uploaded Nintendo ROMs to both of their websites, LoveRoms.com and LoveRetro.co. They had downloadable ROMs such as Mario Kart 64, Donkey Kong Country, Pokemon Yellow, and Super Mario World. And I'm sure they had plenty more than that as well, but you get the point. Nintendo was really pissed off, especially when you mess with their first-party IPs. Nintendo don't like that, and Nintendo will want your money if you end up uploading their ROMs, especially their first-party stuff. That makes them very unhappy. Now, of course, the over $12 million ruling, $12.23 million to be exact. I may have said before $12.3 million. I was a little off, but doesn't matter. It's still well over $12 million. Was discovered by Torrent Freak, and the reason why people think Nintendo is asking for this much is because they want to set an example. If you want to spread around Nintendo IPs via ROMs on websites or torrents or whatever the case may be, they're going to come after you, and Nintendo is going to empty out your wallets. They're actually taking a play out of the recording industry's book, which I'll talk about in a second. Now, if Jacob and Christian Matthias will actually have to pay over $12 million is the, no pun intended, million-dollar question. I know there have been other cases that have been settled out of court for a hell of a lot less, but we'll have to wait and see. If they end up owing that much, wow. Talk about ruining someone's life, but maybe Nintendo really does want to set an example. It'll be interesting to see what they truly end up owing. We may never know, but if it's settled out of court, we can assume it's a hell of a lot less than over $12 million bucks. Now, if you go to LoveRoms.com, you will see this message posted on there. You're not going to be able to get ROMs anymore, shockingly, but this is what the message on the website has to say. Our website, LoveRoms.com/LoveRetro.co, previously offered and performed unauthorized copies of Nintendo games in violation of Nintendo's copyrights and trademarks. LoveRoms.com/LoveRetro.co acknowledges that it caused harm to Nintendo, its partners, and customers by offering infringing copies of Nintendo games and has agreed to cease all such activities. To access legitimate Nintendo games online, please visit www.nintendo.com for information about the Nintendo Game Store. Now, this may seem like a huge win for Nintendo, especially if you're younger and you haven't been around to know what the recording industry did back in the early 2000s. This may seem like, wow, Nintendo's not messing around. Guess no more ROMs for me. But in the long run, it won't work. People will find a way to distribute ROMs, and whenever any kind of corporation does this, it ends up backfiring on them. I remember this is after Napster was shut down, and there was other apps like Napster called LimeWire. And in the early 2000s, the recording industry would go after people if they found out that you were downloading albums, or if you had albums on your computer and people were downloading the albums from your computer via applications like LimeWire, the recording industry would sue you for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. There were news stories. It was like a witch hunt the RIAA was doing, where you'd hear like, oh, 10-year-old has countless albums on their computer, so the mother is sued for like $200,000. I mean, I'm just kind of paraphrasing and pulling like scenarios out of my head, but they're similar to what actually happened. And it was a witch hunt for a few years, and then they just gave up because they realized there was nothing they could do. If people wanted to spread around music, they were going to. Now, of course, the recording industry changed, and iTunes became very relevant, and now people just stream music. They don't even download MP3s anymore. But it was ridiculous, and then they just realized that it was a futile effort, and eventually they gave up. So Nintendo, my point being, is if you think this is going to stop ROMs, Nintendo IPs from being distributed on the internet, come on, man. If there's a will, there's a way, and there's definitely a will, and there most definitely is a way. And yeah, okay, maybe you'll get rid of websites, but people will do it via torrents and countless other ways. They're going to find ways to distribute these ROMs of old classic Nintendo IPs. So I got bad news for you. You may take down websites, but these websites that distribute your ROMs are like cockroaches. You stomp out one, there's 8 billion other ones that are going to pop up. So I guess get your lawyers ready, because you got a hell of a battle ahead of you, which I'm going to let you know right now, you're not going to win. What also bothers me too about these ROM sites being taken down, like, look, Nintendo, fine, you want to protect your first party IPs, you have at it, man, you have a blast with that. But what about the games made by developers and publishers that are gone? The first one I always think of, and I think when I made another video on this, I mentioned it, was Broderbund Software. They were big, especially during the NES era. And one game I think of that was they published, but it was developed by a company called Infinity, was the Battle of Olympus. It had a very similar gameplay style to The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. And I thought it was a fantastic game as a kid. It had great music. It had very similar gameplay to The Legend of Zelda 2. I actually liked it better than The Adventures of Link. And who the hell owns that game now? It's gone. The IP is gone. It's a game from the past that both companies cease to exist now. Broderbund Software is long gone, and so is Infinity. So what happens to that game? Is it just left in the dust because you want no ROM sites to have it out anywhere because you're afraid they'll put up your first-party IPs? This is what bothers a lot of people. Fine, you want to protect your intellectual properties, but also protect the past too. That's what you have to do. You got to protect the past, because there's a lot of classic games out there right now that no one owns the rights to, that if you get rid of these ROM sites, they're just going to disappear. And it's really frustrating to see that happen. And it's like you don't care. You don't care about the history. You just care about your own profits, not about protecting the past of these great games that people still may want to play. So Nintendo, if you want to take down your ROMs that you own, you have a blast with that. But don't take down these sites completely where there are ROMs of games where the companies cease to exist that people want to see preserved. Because that's just you being selfish at that point, and you don't care about anything else but your bottom line. And it makes people dislike you when you do things like that. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one. Hey, congratulations. If you made it to the end of the video, you should subscribe to Review Tech USA so you could hear me blabber on some more. Also, too, starting this month, I will be live streaming solely on Twitch. I'll have a link to my Twitch channel below in the description. And last but not least, make sure you click that like button. It helps out the show big time. See you guys in the next video.